I'm not gonna use a. Oh fuck! About one of the palette that I want to. All right. Yes. So I haven't done one of those in a minute. I feel like the last few time that I've done one of these, I was dying. I was so tired. I wasn't really there. I wasn't really present. So I decided that the next time I would do a get ready with me, I would be awake and present and there and active as I used to. My concentration issues are been getting worse and worse. At least I managed to fix my sleeping schedule, which, well, ish, but still, it's better. So, you know, not all bad. But yeah, no, being an adult is annoying. Anyway, today we are going to talk about a case that has been pissing me the fuck off. I'm so happy that Stephanie Sue is on it. I also saw that there's that lady, that blonde old white woman with a bob. Apparently, she's very popular. Who's on it? I've seen clips on her of her on Instagram. I don't remember her name, but she's very famous. I'm sure. Just saying that people are gonna know. Judy, not Judge Judy. Anyway, there's another woman on it. I feel like a lot of people are trying to, are on it. Basically, there's been a lot of lynching lately in the United States, specifically, and like Mississippi is a state that I feel like is known in Black history as a state with, you know, horrific history when it comes to lynching of African American people. And I feel like this case is just another case that these motherfuckers try. They, I, I know they thought it was gonna be swept under the rug. It has so many, and it has been happening for decades, right? Shit, centuries. Where Black people are murdered and they never get justice. And I have a feeling that that is one of those cases that the young men, the young white men who were with him, they really didn't think that it was gonna go anywhere. Like they really thought they were protected. No, bitch, you are not protected because we are tired. I've seen. I feel like my timeline lately has been a whole lot of suspicious death, aka lynching. Black people don't hang themselves from trees. Okay, so a lot of very suspicious death that are where the cops are saying there's no foul play and it's suicide. One of those deaths is so crazy to me because the dude was found rolled up in a gym mattress, and he did that himself under like some, anyway, the way he was found is you know. So there's another something about how the medical examiner is known to basically constantly rule suspicious black death as no foul play and suicide. So there's a lot here, and I feel like Nolan's case is just the tip of the iceberg because, again, this state is trash when it comes to lynching, and justice needs to be served, and heads needs to roll, and everybody needs to be arrested, and I'm sick and tired. If you can support the family just by leaving a good review for the mom's business. Apparently she's been bombarded with 1-star review by fucking racists who can't fathom the idea that lynching is still a thing, or who can't fathom the fact that the motherfuckers who did kill him or are responsible for Nolan's death may have to actually face repercussion. I feel like with the media attention to this case, media attention that is not dying out, uh, they literally do not have a choice but to do something. There was this, I think it's Arno Ebery. There was this man who was literally murdered for jogging while black during the pandemic. He should have been the face of Black Lives Matters, not George Floyd. Not because George Floyd deserved to die. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of, like, uh Because you know how people love a perfect victim, right? And George Floyd was everything but a perfect victim. Again, he did not deserve to die. The way he died was absolutely not okay. But this man's death was the one that shook me to my core when I heard about it. He was just jogging, and he was basically like an off-duty cop, and his son and his friend basically decided that they needed to protect the neighborhood and basically lynched him in the back of their van. And they almost got away with it. Ciao. So anyway, yeah, no more. I am literally praying to every single dark entity that exists, that the people who are committing these crimes suffer for the rest of their miserable, racist, trash life. And so that is my introduction. Woo! We live in beautiful time. Being a millennial is hell. Anyway, without further ado, let's get to this case. This lynching case. Or this suspicious death case. Where there was 100% foul play. Let's go.
People back in the day were quite dramatic. There's this old fisherman's diary where it reads like he's suddenly in a Christopher Nolan film. This is from back then. He writes in his little journal that he has just gotten to this island off the coast of Mississippi, and he writes that this island is, quote, dreary, sandy, wild, inhospitable spot. The wood abounds in mosquitoes, sandflies, and every insect that human flesh is food for. It's a tad bit dramatic, especially when you realize he's just writing about Horn Island in Mississippi. He's not writing about some giant hunk of land in the middle of the ocean where those Agatha Christie books take place. This is just Horn Island. It's a remote barrier island about 10 miles off the coast of Mississippi, which a barrier island is essentially a deposit of sand. It runs parallel to the mainland coast. Horn Island is technically part of the Gulf National Seashore. You can really only get to it by boat and probably a little bit of dedication. It's not a treacherous journey, but it's also not necessarily a tourist destination, meaning you're not gonna have these ferries or tourist boats heading out to Horn Island scheduled a few times a day so you can seashell and take pictures. They don't necessarily do tours of Horn Island. If you have a whole boat of tourists, eventually someone's gonna need to pee, and the entire island is uninhabited. There's no bathrooms, there's no restaurants, businesses, nothing but cacti on an island. However, a lot of locals in Mississippi will ride their personal, or they'll charter a boat out there, anchor it near the shore. You can't even dock it. There's no dock. So you have to anchor your boat near the shore, jump off your boat, and kind of walk. Swim or walk, depending on how big your boat is. You can't dock it. And they'll usually go to get drunk or party on the island. That's what the locals do. The island's dimensions get reconfigured every now and then, but it's a pretty substantial piece of land, okay? As of today, the island is about 10 miles long. And the width of it, the longest point is like a little less than a mile. It's not huge, but it's not small.
Yeah.
There was a point where it was recorded to be much larger. It was about 17 miles long. It's shrinking. The island is shrinking. Also, it's moving. So as the current is wearing down on the eastern side, it deposits sand on the western side. So it's slowly moving. It's like shrinking and moving to the side. It's kind of interesting, but it is now the largest island in the Mississippi-Alabama barrier chain, and it is also protected by the National Park Service, meaning legally you cannot go in there and build a bathroom. You can't bring in motorized equipment or build any sort of infrastructure on the island.
Oh, really?
Not that any of that will even matter come 2100, because it's said if sea levels continue to rise, the majority of the island is going to be underwater by then. But the interesting thing about Horn Island is a lot of people, the locals, they treat it like a second home. It's been described to have these really white, sandy shores. When you go out there, it's weirdly loud and silent. They describe it as all you hear all day, all night long are like the crashing wave noises, but then nothing else. So it's once you block out the wave noises, there's no other sound. The entire center of the island is filled with thick brush. It's just cacti, which is crazy because it's essentially a functional desert in the middle of the ocean. It's just cacti. And weirdly, there's alligators living on this island, which is alarming because alligators are freshwater predators. What are they doing in the middle of the ocean? But there's ponds, there's marshes in there. You don't really go in there as a local. You either camp, because camping is permitted. You either dock your boat and set up a tent and camp on this shoreline, but you never really go in. It's just kind of, it's a lot. But people treat it like a mini vacation, a second home, a party spot, and people have nothing but positive things and feelings towards Horn Island until July
now.
6th of this year. At the northwestern tip of the island, a body washes ashore, face down in the water. This is the body of an 18-year-old boy, a college football player, Nolan Wells. This is the current ongoing case of Nolan Wells, where 18-year-old Nolan Wells had gone missing while out with his friends on a boat during the 4th of July. 2 days later, his body is found in the water. And every single day since, there have been more questions than there have been answers. Witnesses are reportedly sharing vastly different accounts of what happened on the island with Nolan. His friends that he was with that day have had varied public responses to his passing. Some have shut down their social media. Some have talked to media. Others have been quietly posting their tributes on Instagram. And because there's so many unanswered questions, like, were there things deleted on his phone the day that he went missing?
Apparently.
Why didn't he have his phone on him? Why did his friends have his phone? There's so many questions. The internet has taken it upon themselves to come up with their best theories on what they believe happened to Nolan. But is that even helping the case? This case has unfortunately become so divisive, so complicated on all fronts, that it feels like it's only getting harder for the family to get the answers that they want. This is the current ongoing case of Nolan Wells, as well as all the internet theories about what happened, to who's lying, and why.
Dude, that's a lot. I put a lot on that. Damn. I have regrets. I have regrets.
We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support Nolan Wells' GoFundMe to help assist his family and loved ones as they navigate his death investigation. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's team of dedicated researchers. We would also like to thank you guys for your continued support. As always, full show notes are available at RottenMangoPodcast.com. As we cover Nolan's death investigation, please know that this case is currently ongoing and developing as we speak. If there are any new updates, we will be sure to leave a pinned comment. But I also want to mention how current this case is, because very little about this case has been confirmed. We're going to be doing our best to separate distinguishable facts from fiction, as well as try and navigate all the netizen discourse. But a few disclaimers for the online discourse. There are lots of discussions from netizens surrounding race and potential race-based violence. These topics can be undeniably heavy, so please take a break if you need to. Additionally, all netizen opinions, speculations, allegations, and theories should not be treated as fact, but rather as potential context for the conversation surrounding the case and surrounding the investigation. Statements and quotes may be condensed for brevity. And also, I do want to make it abundantly clear that not a single person has been implicated in Nolan Wells' death. This is an open investigation. Nobody has been listed a person of interest. Nobody has been listed a suspect. Nobody has, at least to the knowledge of the public, there is no indication that a singular person or multiple specific individuals had committed any wrongdoing or played a role in his passing. So with that in mind, let's get started. The boat ride back home from a party is usually a very niche feeling. I mean, it's getting dark. You're almost like flying on the water. You see the docks, you see all the lights.
I want to know real quick, like, I don't know when this video came out, but I wonder if this video came out after the enhanced audio thing came out. Because the enhanced audio is very clear. Very clear. I just want to say that.
You're trying to get there, but it's not like completely dark, so you're just enjoying the ride back. It's much colder. Your skin is probably burnt from all the sun, so the cool wind feels nice, and it might even feel like a sobering feeling. Not saying that someone has to be drunk, but I guess if you were, it would also be sobering. People say the boat back from an island party is like a reinvigorating feeling. when you go to the island, when you go to the party, you're more excited. Maybe everybody's on their phones. Maybe everyone's playing music and taking pictures. On the way back, everyone's exhausted, and it's the type of boat ride where they say it compels you to have these deep, introspective conversations about life and overly positive feelings about the future. 4th of July, one by one, the boats that were at Horn Island, Mississippi for the 4th of July weekend, they come back ashore to dock. And the island that everybody was on, that just was so crowded, is going to be pitch black. It's going to be dark. And one person is going to be left behind.
Apparently.
Nolan Wells. He's not going to have a way to call for help, even if he could, because his phone and his keys are not with him. They're in his friend's boat, the boat that he came onto Horn Island with, the boat that he did not leave Horn Island on. His phone is on there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
4th of July weekend in Mississippi, like everywhere else everywhere else in the United States, is a very big, complicated ordeal. It's a function with one too many grilled hot dogs and your dog hiding in a blanket while your neighbor decides that their driveway is the perfect place to attempt to replicate the sound of a nuclear bomb, using pretty much every single firework that they could purchase from the next state over because it's illegal in your state. But in Mississippi, Horn Island is the go-to spot for 4th of July weekend. Some estimates put it in the larger area of 4,000 people on the island throughout the day.
Oh, wow.
Whether that means simultaneously or that's just the incoming traffic throughout the day, it's unclear. Some people have put it closer to 200-300, but that seems like it's just one section of the island. I mean, this is still a 10-mile long island. Which I will say, I was kind of confused where everyone uses the restroom because there's no way you're getting the anchor out and driving back to shore to use the facilities. But nevertheless, maybe some boats have bathrooms? I don't know.
Probably just in the bushes, no?
Yeah, maybe.
Boats must have
in
bathrooms.
the water, I guess, I don't know. But it's the land of the free, if you will. There's a few circulating videos from Horn Island on 4th of July. And more on that later, but people think... Just watching the videos, it looks like a very American gathering. You see lots of boats with American flags. They're anchored near the island. There's about like 3-4 rows of boats. Mm-hmm. That's how many people are there. So it's not even just one singular line of boats docked or anchored in the water. It's about 3 rows. They're lined up behind. So next to each other and then 3 rows. There are people waist deep in water. The people with the boats further back that have to park.
So you see people all around, like it's
all around. Okay. People are on the boats. People are next to their boats in the water. There's people in water where it's chin deep. There's people in water where it's waist deep. There's people near the shore. There's people not in the water, completely on the island. People are playing music, swimming. It seems like a lot of the people know each other, but this is definitely not some organized private event where everyone knows who's coming. It seems like a lot of big groups of friends were just like, let's go meet up there. And they all happen to be in the high school, college, maybe freshly out of college age group. I'm sure this is not like a census, so I'm not entirely accurate, but that's the vibe it gives. It's like a bunch of people from college, and then they all kind of know someone who knows someone. So that's how they're all interlinked. Some people run into more friends or friends of friends. Nolan and his 3 friends get on a boat and they make it out to Horn Island for 4th of July festivities. They get there pretty early, like 10:30 in the morning. Around 4:30 p.m., the boat that Nolan came to Horn Island on leaves Horn Island with Nolan's phone and keys on board, but not Nolan. It is not.
4:30 p.m.?
Yeah.
Is that early?
It is early and there's a reason.
Okay.
Now, it's not until around 11 p.m. that night, Nolan's mom, Christine, gets a phone call from one of the friends Nolan was with that day, that Nolan is missing. Now, according to Christine, Nolan's mom, she's really confused by this. Which understandably, she's like, what do you mean he's missing? Like, he had told her what his plans were for 4th of July, and now you're saying he's missing. I mean, it's unclear if Christine received all this information in this order that night, but eventually the explanation she gets is the original boat friend group, the 3 guys Nolan came out on the boat with, they decided that they were going to head back to mainland around 4:30 p.m. So I guess the night is still young, right? Nolan is talking to this girl, Katie, on the island, who he just met. And he decides, this is what they say, right? This is what Christine says they said. He decides that he's just going to stay on the island a bit longer to talk to this girl and maybe come back on a different boat. So their version of events, at least how it's been reported thus far, is that Nolan tells them that he's going to hang back with Katie and catch a ride with another group later. Apparently, they had other friends that were on the island with different boats, so maybe it's safe to say that it's not like Nolan doesn't know a single person on the island and he's going to catch a ride with a stranger. It seems like if this is true, his intention was to catch a ride with someone he knows. According to Christine, Nolan's friends tell her that they don't know where Nolan is anymore, and they also don't know where the girl Katie is. So it's like,
do they know Katie?
Not really.
Do they know that person exists?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So they saw her, but then like Christine is kind of confused. She's like, they're both missing. Christine says the friends inform her, well, we don't even know who she is. Christine is, she reports that she's very confused by this because she's kind of like, well, how do you not know where she is if you don't know who she is? None of this is really making sense. Katie is indeed not missing. She will be located, but Nolan will not be. Nolan is missing since 4th of July. Christine starts frantically posting on Facebook for everyone to help. She's trying to post pictures of Nolan of what he was last seen wearing so people can be on the lookout. Go through their phones, which is a smart suggestion. She posts on Instagram, please continue to look through your photos and videos, specifically starting around 4:30 p.m. We have received pictures around that time showing him walking on the beach. Again, please only private message me if you have information. But the information that keeps coming out is confusing at best and maybe at times even conflicting. Nolan's parents will later retain a very famous attorney who points out that during this chaos, that the 3 original friends from the boat, we're going to call them the 3 boat friends, allegedly stated that Nolan said he wanted to stay back to hang out with this girl, Katie, that he had just met. But Katie reportedly states that Nolan was telling her he's going to go back on the boat. And this is all paraphrasing of what attorney Crump, Benjamin Crump, Nolan's family attorney, has pointed out.
They're not saying the same thing. One of them is telling the truth, one of them is not. We have to get to the bottom of that.
Since Nolan's disappearance, they went through and searched the waters between Horn Island, Ship Island, another barrier island. They had to conduct aerial searches south towards the Chandelier Islands. And it's not until July 6th at 8:45 a.m., a park ranger that was searching the island calls the alert in. They find Nolan. He is reportedly found face down near the northwestern tip of Horn Island. When Nolan's body is found, the Jackson County coroner, pretty early on, tells CNN there were no obvious signs of trauma on Nolan's body.
When Nolan's parents heard the sheriff say there's no foul play at the beginning of the investigation, that is cause for concern, major concern. You haven't even investigated, but you're saying no foul play.
This has then been interpreted as really there's no immediate signs of foul play that's suspected. So quickly, one of the first narratives to sprout from this case is, well, this must be then a case of accidental drowning if that's what the coroner is saying. You have a body of water, you have a body. It's a natural theory that people are going to consider. However, a lot of netizens take issue with this whole drowning narrative because as of right now, aside from his body being found in a body of water, it has not been publicly determined that he drowned. Furthermore, I will say it is weird for the coroner to come out so soon in the investigation to say something that feels so definitive. And it's, you don't typically have a lot of press and media shoving a mic down the coroner's throat, being like, you gotta tell us. I think out of everyone on the law enforcement front, the coroners get a lot of leeway with media and the public of no one is pressing their finger to the stove demanding they give us everything.
Yeah. You should completely finish your examination and then...
Yeah, and it's very common that a lot of autopsy results are not released immediately because they do take weeks. Lots of it's forensic testing is, it's exhaustive that they want to get everything done and test for all the possibilities. So it's kind of odd that he did come out so quickly to just be like, well, we don't think there's no obvious signs. So people are kind of thrown off by that. Like, why are you so quick to say that? And because I think he was so quick to say that, a lot of people started coming up with, okay, that means he drowned. But there's nothing to support the idea that he drowned. There's no evidence saying that he drowned. I'm not saying definitively he did not, but it's just weird that this is the thing that people initially were, it's just weird. It's weird. So a few things that stand out, not making a lot of sense, is the first being the parents have stated that Nolan is a college athlete. He's a football player. He's very fit. He's athletic, and he's a strong swimmer. They don't think that he could have drowned. I will note, I do think that that's a huge misconception that strong swimmers cannot drown, or it is somehow harder for them to drown. I think if the current decides to take down even someone like Michael Phelps, it will take him down. Even in the calmest waters, people have been strong swimmers and they have still drowned. The ocean does not give really a formula or a reason for how it behaves. However, I think maybe it's the family is trying to say that he is not the type to also go into certain areas of water. I think that would also make more sense. A park ranger that was searching the island called the alert in.
The body was observed on the northwest portion of Horn Island, which is not unusual for someone to drown and be washed up in that area.
Then another point of contention, which I personally think holds a bit more weight, is that if Nolan drowned, how did nobody see? Again, if you see videos of this gathering, and that's not to say that this is, it was like this the entire time that Nolan was there, I wouldn't be able to tell you, but it seems like a very populated area. Nobody's really swimming. No one's out here doing laps. Everyone's just kind of hanging out in waist-deep water, holding a beer can in one hand. And they're just chit-chatting. This isn't really the place or time for people to just go off by themselves. The whole point of this is it's a social event.
Yes.
If Nolan did in fact accidentally drown, did he drown by himself? Where was he? Why would he just be out in the water by himself?
Yeah.
Or are we to believe that maybe groups of people are so drunk and so distracted that a current swept only Nolan away and nobody saw, but he...
Mind you, Nolan is not just that. Nolan is black, duh. And I don't know, the race of every single person on the island that day. But he seems to be, well, the three friends that he was with were sure white. The girl that he was talking to was white. And that's not to say that he didn't have black friend or whatever. My point is, there was a whole lot of white people there. So I feel like one black guy drowning is not something that you can ignore when he's one of the rare one, if he was not the only one, struggling in the water. I feel like, not like he visually speaking necessarily fits in a way. And again, we are in Mississippi. And that coroner needs to be if this country wasn't under the fascist rule of a disgustingly racist a corrupt pedophile, I would literally send the FBI there, but we all know that Trump ain't doing shit to help black people. There was this DC, the police chief in DC, Washington DC, was relieved of her duty after she found out that the white cops in her precinct were changing the statistics of race-based crime rate. They were changing the statistics for, to make like ethnic people look bad and white people look good. White people's crime would be cataloged as lesser, and it was just a whole thing. And even the police union basically said, yeah, but everybody does that. The per capita dumbass sure would like to hear that, wouldn't they? Right? Because the other thing that I want to bring is the fact that right now in the United States, three cities that are now that have young, very left-leaning mayor, Baltimore, New York, and I think Chicago, are currently thriving with the lowest crime rate reported in decades or something like that. And when you see stuff like that, I'm like, oh, that's amazing, mayor really can do something. But of course, in the eyes of racists, that cannot happen. these woke DI hire mayor cannot possibly be the reason why things are better. So obviously the stats are doctored. And I find that very interesting that when we have clear proof of crime rate being doctored, basically being modified to fit a certain demographic, then the same crowd doesn't give a fuck and basically close their eyes. But when there is literally no report or investigation regarding crime rate in these cities being doctored, then it must be the case. The point is, black people can never win. Black people, not only black people can never win, but they are also not allowed to be great at their job because it always has to be about race. It can never be, oh yeah, that person is doing an amazing job and that person also happens to be black. No, if that person is black, they're DI hired and they got there by cheating and they're cheating their way into looking good for the public. It's really, we really cannot win. It's very interesting how that works. Very interesting. So in this case, when you look back in the history of the medical examiner for in the state of Mississippi, she has a documented history of constantly ruling suspicious black death as no foul play suicide. And that needs to be investigated because, again, we've seen it before. This country is literally built on fucking white supremacy and the suffering of black people. So it's not crazy to think that she's a lying cunt, a white supremacist lying cunt. And she should be investigated. White people be fucking up black people for centuries. We literally cannot trust them when it comes to stuff like this. I am so sorry, not all white people, but I really don't care. They cannot be trusted, especially in a case like this one. They literally cannot be trusted. And that is coming from a girl who was raised by white people. Lol. So I can't say that. My parents are white. And my parents would never do that, by the way, obviously. But my point stands. These little white devil need to pay for their crime. That makes sense. Plus, if they are less policed as a population, white people crime don't get counted as much. Yeah. It's just, I just think that this story about what happened in DC should have been viral because it is really, 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 really not a good look. It's not a good look. Like, it's not a good look. And it's so bad that even Trump decided to like deal with it because it was not a good look. So of course he decided to put the blame on the black police chief because there was something about how she created a climate of fear, and apparently this climate of fear is what forcing police officer to lie about the white crime rate. Because if she was creating a climate of fear, I would think that she would force these fucking cops to lie about the black crime rate to make us look better. But no, apparently. So this is all bullshit, is what it is.
Was standing right there talking to them. Like, it's just, I'm trying to fathom, like, what scenario would he be taken by the current and nobody would see because it's a social event. It's just weird. But more than that, people also feel it's odd that the authorities were so quick to kind of lean towards this narrative that it's an accidental drowning when it seems like they can't confidently or won't confidently tell the public what they believe happened to Nolan. So if you don't really know what happened to him, why are you so quick to rule out foul play or to even insinuate you're ruling out foul play? Why are you so quick to publicly say something that shifts the narrative to that this is a case of accidental drowning when you don't even really know what happened?
You don't even know yet.
But to a lot of people, this case does not feel like a clean-cut, tragic, accidental drowning case. A lot of people think it's weird that his friends would just leave him on the island, even if he told them that he would catch a ride later. Yeah. More people feel it's strange that Nolan didn't want his phone when he's going to be left on the island without a guaranteed ride back.
Thank you! That Nolan is a fucking teen, bro. We go and like I'm a millennial. You think I'm gonna be left on an island without my cell phone and my keys? Are you out of your mind? Never! Why the fuck would he say, "Hey, it's okay, friend. Don't forget about my phone and my keys. You can leave with them. I'm gonna stay here with the hope that I can get back with Shawty." Like, no, no. That alone is absolutely ridiculous that they try to make us believe that that was the case. It's absolutely insane. Zero cents have been found in this explanation because it doesn't exist. It's impossible. Impossible that this young black man would tell his friend to take his phone and his keys away from him when he's stranded on an island. Bullshit. No one wants to be without their phone these days. It's extremely suspicious. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Again, it is an uninhabited island, but there is like spots of cell service that you can get. But also, like, it's 2026. Everyone has their phone. Even if there's no cell service, I feel safer with my phone on me.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's weird.
The family and the family's attorney are alleging that witness statements aren't adding up, and there's, of course, this undercurrent of justified anxiety and doubt that's forming in a lot of netizens because Nolan was the only black friend on a boat with 3 white friends. He is, for whatever reason, left on this island, whether it was by his choice, his agreement. A lot of people still feel he was left. Nobody went to check up on him. Like, nobody made a confirmation that he...
Nobody checked up on it. They left with his phone. They left with his phone. Why the fuck are you gonna leave with your friend's phone? If you're gonna leave, at least give him his phone and his keys. But no, you're gonna leave him on an island without his phone and his keys? Lies. Lies. Lies upon lies upon lies. And I mean, she's probably going to talk about it, but with the additional information regarding when the phone was found, when the body was found, what happened to the phone while these young men had it? How did they unlock the phone? Yo, some of the theories that I've heard so far, I don't know if she's going to talk about some of them because they're pretty recent, but some of the theories that I've heard are just horrific.
Was getting another ride, and those feelings are only getting stronger when it feels like the police are very, like, it almost feels like they're trying to quickly wrap this case up. They are. Which is just a feeling that a lot of people have initially received. I will say the local authorities have been vocal about how seriously they're taking this and how they plan on being diligent and taking as long as they need to figure out what happened to Nolan. Those types of statements come a little bit after the social media intensity.
Exactly. We're working towards the same goal as the family. We want a thorough investigation, and that's what we're going to continue to do until we arrive at the answers that the family deserves.
In the beginning, there is, and still now, a lot of growing public mistrust. It seems like the investigators don't have much information that makes sense. Nothing is really clear, at least to just people on the internet like us. I would imagine that maybe the police are privy to a lot more information than us, but the timeline is confusing. Some say he was last seen at 3 p.m. Others are saying, well, no, I saw him at 4 p.m.
It's crazy to leave without your friends, no matter what they say. That too. You could never, ever in a million years. If my friends say, yo, girl, don't worry about me. I'm going to stay. I'm going to catch a ride with XYZ. I'm going to be like, all right, just, do you have like your phone? If anything happened, like call me or something. Like, I'm not going to be. And if for the love of God, I realize that, oh my God, I still have, she left her phone and her keys on a boat. I'm going back because I'm like, oh, that's dangerous. She's on an island. Like, she cannot be left there without her phone and her keys. Hello?
It just seems messy, and it seems like there's not really a sense of urgency with the investigators, at least initially with this case.
Oh, initially,
the family Attorney Crump, expresses frustration, probably at the direction of the investigation. He says in an interview about this case,
we don't know the level of cooperation the friends are engaging in because they all have retained attorneys. But what Nolan's family and friends feel like, had the roles been reversed and that these had been 3 young black men and there was only 1 young white man and he ended up dead, that the investigation would be much more zealous.
Yep.
There would be interrogations.
Yep.
They would be separated. They would be held for all kinds of crimes and misdemeanors until somebody started to talk that they would challenge the narrative that has been presented. They all came back alive, and Nolan was washed up on the shore unalive.
Just because Nolan's three friends were white and Nolan was black, that's not an implication of guilt. That's not an implication of any wrongdoing at all. But I do think that a lot of people agree with the sentiment. It's not even really about his friends, but it's more so, if the roles were reversed, we probably would have a much more passionate, feverish, aggressive investigation into the three friends on the boat, which again, that's not me saying that they are guilty of anything. And the fact that this is happening in a southern state like Mississippi, it has piqued a lot of people's anxiety and suspicion that it likely stems from societal patterns, the history of racism in this country, as well as personal experiences and some other cases online. A lot of comparisons have been made with Nolan Wells's case and Tamla Horsford's case. If you guys remember, that was another Southern case that took place in Cumming, Georgia. She was the only black woman at a slumber party of football moms. And the case was notable because all the other individuals there were white, and it was a slumber party. They were playing Cards Against Humanity, drinking, having a good time. And the next morning at 7:30 a.m., Tamla was found lying face down, motionless under the porch. It was a 14-foot fall. Witnesses state she got up at 2 a.m. to smoke a cigarette on the back porch. The case was officially closed and ruled an accidental death. But a lot of people online disagree with this finding. They think it's weird. She has all these blunt force injuries. Sure, they're saying it's from the 14-foot fall, but she also has these scratches and cuts on her face, wrist, hand, lower legs. It just doesn't really add up. Now, I'm not saying that any individual at that party or that night is guilty of anything. Legally, they're not. I'm just saying the investigation leaves a lot to be desired.
But I'm saying that they did it. Legally, I know that technically, you're supposed to say alleged, but I would strongly believe that they allegedly murdered this woman. That case was so awful too. Disgusting. They all deserve the death penalty. I don't give a fuck.
The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office states, it was a party. They were drinking. She was drinking. Most of the partygoers had gone to bed at that time. She was on the deck alone. Hardly seems like a satisfying answer to the case. There have also been comparisons drawn with Nolan Wells's case and Alec Murdaugh's case, where a boat crashed in South Carolina, killing 19-year-old Mallory Beach. The boat was owned by Alec Murdaugh. He wasn't on the boat, but his son, Paul Murdaugh, was on the boat. The same Paul that would be found dead with Alec Murdaugh's wife, Paul's mom, shot dead outside their house, which Alec Murdaugh was found guilty of. However, that conviction was overturned, and prosecutors are going to retry the case April of next year.
Wait, what?
There's that.
It was overturned?
The online comparison of the two cases only gets stronger when one of the alleged boys on the boat, one of the three white friends that Nolan was with that day, when one of their mothers speaks out on Facebook, and she happens to be a judge in the same district of the investigation. Judge Ashley Cole has taken to Facebook the day after Nolan's body is found, and she writes, "Our family, along with the community, grieves the loss of Nolan Wells. Our thoughts and prayers are with Nolan's family. Our son, Warren, loved Nolan dearly. Unfortunately, I feel that it is appropriate for our family to dispel some rumors with facts based upon the social media attention that is being diverted away from the Wells family and their loss. Yes, I deactivated my Facebook. Given the very heightened emotional state of social media right now, I fear for the safety of my child and my children. My husband and I have 6 children, and we covet their privacy. We do not believe it is appropriate for our minor children's photographs to be circulated throughout the internet, presenting potential threats to their safety. I graduated high school with Christine Wells Wansley," so Nolan's mom. "We are from the same community. I have the utmost respect for her and all the Wells family. We mourn the loss of Nolan with them. Our prayers have been and will continue to be with them. My husband and I were not at Horn Island at any point on 4th of July. No one in our family is trying in any way to impede with the investigation by law enforcement or to otherwise hamper the family and law enforcement's quest for answers. Warren was interviewed by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department and cooperated fully. He saw Nolan last at around 3 p.m. on July 4th. They went around 4:30 p.m. when the boat was taking on water and they had an issue with the bilge pump. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends. Yes,
Without
I
his
am a
phone.
judge. I also value transparency. I apologize if anyone was
keys.
offended that I deleted my social media. There were no nefarious motivations in my deleting my social media. Social media has a lot of positives, but a whole lot of negatives. We live in a world of clickbaiting. Sad, but true. My family is hopeful that this information will help redirect the attention to the Wells family, their grief, and their need for our community's support. Everyone seems to take her Facebook post and use it to bolster the theory that they believe the most. Some have taken it to the extreme. Judge Ashley Cole has posted screenshots of some of the graphic death threats she and her family have been receiving. She writes on Facebook that she will not be speaking to press or media. She writes, "We have not had the opportunity to speak with the Wells-Wansley family or their attorney. However, we are willing to directly communicate with attorney Benjamin Crump and the Wells-Wansley family. We will provide them with all the information known to us so their family can rest and properly mourn."
I really don't like the way the family of the other people on the board are moving. That alone is so weird and suspicious. They are not acting like a cherished friend. No, they are not. They are not. They are in full-on PR mode. Like, if one of the best friend of one of my child died suspiciously on an island, I would be distraught. I would be like, oh my God, like that kid used to come home and, like I used to see him around here all the time. Like, this is a fucking tragedy. I would feel absolutely terrible. But most importantly, uh I would side-eye the shit out of my children because, like, what the fuck happened? Why the fuck do you have his phone? Why the fuck do you have this boy's phone? There's no reason for you to have his man's phone. If you leave him on an island and you're gonna take his phone, his only mean of no, like, obviously she's gonna protect her fucking alleged murderer of a son. But me personally, I wouldn't move like that. Because ain't no fucking way I raised a fucking killer. If you do something stupid, I will personally drag you to the precinct.
We also want to know what happened to Nolan. We will do everything within our power to assist Nolan's family in their quest for answers. Interestingly, more recently, the only other post that she had was July 21st. She posts on Facebook, "Right is right, wrong is wrong."
Period.
Yeah. My stance on this entire case is that Nolan Wells' family deserves answers, and they deserve to live in a world where they can fully trust their local law enforcement agencies to help them get those answers as quickly as possible. And again, that's not to say that the law enforcement agencies in this case are not doing their jobs, but we live in a society where there's already so much distrust placed there, especially for Black individuals and families. And
in
Nolan's parents, they
no
just
less.
want answers. And the way that this investigation first kicks off, I will say I don't think that they would have done the same thing if the roles were reversed.
Nope.
And I grew up in the South. If there was a case in my hometown where it was a white 18-year-old college football player ends up dead after he hung out with a bunch of his Black friends, that my hometown would have been turned upside down.
Yep.
They would be going door to door. Everyone's getting arrested.
Yep.
So I think it's weird. I think it's weird, and I think it's completely understandable that Nolan's parents feel like something is off about it, and they don't necessarily have the full hope and trust that the investigators are going to get them the answers they desperately need. They have stated multiple times that they feel like so many things are not adding up. Nolan's parents have come out to state that he would never not go on the boat when his friends are leaving.
Right.
Like, he was always taught that if you go somewhere with 5 people, you come back with 5 people. I mean, in this case, it's 4, but you get what they're saying. Nolan's dad reiterates, he always taught Nolan, do not separate from the group. I always told him, safety is in numbers. So he knew to stay with his group. Why would he split from the group? I don't know.
Without
It's
his
just
phone.
one thing to note, though, is that some have argued he's not just staying behind in a random location downtown where he doesn't know anybody else. Technically, there are other friends on the island, friends of Nolan's. So I'm not sure if maybe that was a different situation where Nolan felt like maybe I could go back with it.
None of that matters because he still would have not let his phone fucking out of it. Like, none of that matter on God. As soon as we learned that this man had his phone on the boat that came back without him, it's over.
Different friend. Maybe that's why he could have felt comfortable staying on the island to talk and hang out with other people, but I don't know if that's the case. This case is also just incredibly tricky. I do find myself comparing it frequently to the Tamla Horsford case and feeling a lot of emotions based off of my own personal lived experiences. While I do think asking questions and putting pressure on the investigators is perfectly warranted, if not welcomed, I do think that the majority of netizens feel that sentiment. They're just frustrated with the investigation. They're frustrated with the investigators. They think it's weird. They think it's confusing. It just isn't sitting right with people.
It's not.
Had the investigators gone in full force, locked down everyone's statements, grilled everybody that was there that day, and they came forward to the public and said, hey, we've got everyone's alibis. We're talking to everyone. This is the timeline of events, and we've confirmed the timeline of events. I don't think so many people would be turning their heads. A lot of the times investigators are trying to come forward and give like a very concise timeline, and they also do that for people to give more tips. They're like, here's the timeline. Here's the time we think that he was last seen, specifically here by these people last saw him. He was doing this, like, please call us. I mean, they have been asking for tips, but they haven't done something where it feels, it's a lot of like media doing the work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of media getting people's statements and then coming up with their own timelines based off this person said this at 3 p.m. and then this person tracking boats, tracking people's movements. But it's not like the investigation is like, oh, let me tell you guys everything we've done and we've cleared all these people through their alibis and this and like cell phone tower data. Like it's just. This episode is brought to you by Netflix. November 13th, 2022, at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, a cop is responding to a 911 call. His body cam flicks on. It begins recording. He's getting out of his cruiser, entering this house, climbing the stairs to the main floor, and we hear his boots crunching with each step. The crackle of his radio is going off.
Upstairs.
And the original 911 caller is standing in the main floor landing, just frozen. Opposite from him is an open bedroom door to the scene that he had originally called 911 for. And we see the body cam as the officer reaches the top step of the landing. He turns the corner to face the rest of the room, and the entire screen goes black. This is not like a fade. This is not an editing trick. It's a full redaction of the body cam footage. The audio keeps recording, but the footstep of the officer pauses, and he just says, because 4 young college students, Ethan, Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee, were ambushed in the middle of the night in 2022 in Moscow, Idaho.
We heard about that case.
This opening scene of the documentary series sets the tone for the rest of the episodes. It takes you out of the headlines. It takes you out of the news media that you might have seen about this case, and you just step into the timeline as the scene unfolds, and it's narrated and retold by the loved ones who lived it. We hear from some of the victims' families, unprecedented access to the people closest to the victims, and we learn who they were before the murders. We see Snapchat memories, photos, videos, things that the public has never seen before. There's footage from inside the police station that day, footage of the victims and parts of the case I hadn't ever seen before, parts that were unraveled in the exact same way that investigators uncovered it, ring footage, the silhouette of a man a month prior, the break-in a week before the murders, DNA. Another thing that I really appreciated about this series is they didn't entertain the insensitive theories and shut down any suspicion on the remaining 2 survivors of this case, the 2 roommates. As the cops discover the true killer responsible for the quadruple homicides, we learn his history, his background, we see his yearbook photos, we hear from a classmate who met him in her mind of a serial killer class. That's where they met. We hear about a potential motive for his crime. One word that to me feels like it just makes sense is incel. A killer who doesn't deserve to be named. We learn of the divisive plea deal the killer takes. We see the courtroom footage of the loved one's impact statements. And really, I think the father of one of the victims, Kaylee, says something during the sentencing that I think rings true for everything about this case and this documentary, which is, quote, "The world is watching because of the kids, not because of you." Their names are Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, and Madison Mogan. Watch Idaho Murders College Nightmare, now playing only on Netflix. And as of recently, one of the boat friends has come out to do an interview with a YouTuber by the name of Officer Tatum. Warren shares his experiences with what it was like being Nolan's friend, and he says that they would go to Waffle House once a week together to eat. They've known each other since high school, and now it seems like they're at different colleges and they still hang out when they come home on the weekends. Warren states that going to Horn Island together for the 4th of July is super common. He says, quote, "We went last year."
We went last year. Nolan was on the boat with me last year, and I mean, this was a common thing.
This is one of the 3
Yeah.
friends.
4th of July,
Okay,
everyone
wait.
was out there. Like,
First of all, we got to talk about who he is doing this interview with. Because the motherfucker he's doing this interview with, I don't even know if I can say that word. So this is the individual that this supposed friend is doing an interview with. And he's not even that cute, because that little thing is cute. The interviewer, not so much. That's all I have to say on the subject.
Like I said, Nolan was always trying to go out on the boat, trying to go out there with us, and he was always welcome to come. He explains that the boat trip was not just, 4 guys on a boat. He describes it as, we had roughly 20-30 people coming with us. So we were on 3 separate boats. He describes it as they all met up, and the plan was all 20 to 30 of them were going to get on 3 separate boats and go to the island. So it's not just 4 people on a boat that's like, let's go to the island and see who else is there. He says we were all following each other out there as one big group. It wasn't just me, Nolan, and a couple of my other buddies. There was 20 to 30 people spread out where we all met at the dock before, and then we departed to go to Horn Island. Horn Island on the 4th of July is the most popular day to be on the water throughout the entire Gulf Coast. I mean, everybody and their mom is on the water on the 4th of July. There's no telling. I mean, roughly probably 2, 3, maybe even 4,000 people out there. There were boats lined up on the island. There were 3 rows of boats all the way until my vision ended. We were parked on the north side of the west tip. It wasn't just there though. I mean, there were tons of people packed on the south side, on the east side, in the middle of the island. He says they got to the island 10:30 a.m. We pulled up 10:30. I mean, it was an early afternoon, but 10:30 is still pretty early in the day. And when we got there was already 3 rows of boats lined up all the way, like I said, until I could see. He says there's people on boats grabbing drinks and food, whatever else. I mean, everybody's fully prepared for the 4th of July. They bring all the drinks and food they need because they've been preparing for the 4th of July for a little while now. But when we got there, I helped my buddies tie the boats up because the line was right here. The Palm Beach was, in the middle, and then the Titran, so he's talking about the other boats, was on the other side. There was about a drop off from where the bow was. I mean, he seems like he fishes a lot, so he knows a lot about boats. Like, he's really into boats. He was like, if you jumped off the bow, you were probably about neck deep in water. But if you jumped off the stern, you were probably waist deep in water.
If you jumped off the bow, you were probably about neck deep in water. But if you got off the stern, you were probably waist deep in water.
So, like, the boat is anchored where there's a drop.
I see.
Right, but, when we got there, we tied up, got bow and rear anchor set, and we tied up all the boats, made sure that we were good, and everybody just got in the water. He says that Nolan was drinking, everybody was drinking. It seems like a lot of them are not 21 yet. And I mean, Nolan seemed completely fine every time I talked to him. We just had regular conversations, and Nolan was making me laugh. I had a couple conversations with Nolan and my buddy, James. I could tell you, I mean, I talked to Nolan a couple times, but it wasn't like I was strictly sitting there talking to Nolan the whole day. I mean, there were like hundreds of people I knew out there. He says about leaving Nolan, he says, so Wyatt, which I guess is another friend, was having boat issues, and the bilge wouldn't pump. So the bilge is basically a pump that releases water from your boat when water comes in. So I opened the back hatch and there's water up to the batteries, and that is obviously not good. There's water almost coming over, which is where your motor sits, which is, is by the stern in the back of the boat. So obviously we were in emergency. We're trying to save the boat. It's not like we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan. Nolan decided to stay on the island with the girl that he was with, and the girl is a witness to that too. He says that they were yelling at him to get on the boat, but Nolan said that he wanted to stay. Katie apparently texted a friend of theirs later in the chaos, and she said that the last time she saw Nolan was when someone was yelling at him to get on the boat.
Meaning what? He got on the boat? Or
it seems like he didn't.
Oh.
But then other reports were saying that Katie said he got on the boat. We don't have Katie's statements. And I think that's another thing that the investigators are kind of dropping the ball on.
So that statement you just said, where is that from?
That's from Warren. Warren is saying, like, we have proof that, like, Katie, we were yelling at him get on the boat, but he didn't want to get on the boat.
And then Katie told a friend that that was the last time she saw him too.
Yeah. So maybe
both parties say that they saw him last at yelling at him to get on the boat.
It seems like it. But again, we can't be sure.
Right. Okay.
Because, I mean, we didn't talk to these people. But also another thing is interesting is I think that would clear up a lot of the theories and rumors online if the investigators just straight up said, hey, so we talked to the girl that he was talking to, and she said he did or did not get on the boat. That's like a huge point of contention. Because if he got on that boat, the 3 boat friends have a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah.
If he didn't get on the boat, then maybe a lot of other people on the island could potentially have a lot of explaining to do, or this really is a case of accidental drowning. I mean, it just gets us closer, but because we don't even have a clear answer of if he got on the boat or didn't get on the boat, it's like, well, now we feel like everyone's saying different things. Did he get on the boat or did he not get on the boat? Like, it's not that hard. Did he get on the boat or not? Just give us the answer to that. Why is that so difficult?
Why is that so hard?
He's saying that night they're all hanging out. So they get back at 4:30, and then I guess some other guys come back, and they're all hanging out. And Warren says they start talking about Nolan, and they're like,
Wait, so you're saying they left at 4:30 because of the boat was breaking down?
Yeah, they do send out a distress call too, where they're like, the boat is sinking. But then eventually they don't really need a tow. I guess the boat fixed somehow, or it got better, but...
Okay, so they drove it back to the other side, and they're hanging out over there now?
Yeah.
Okay.
As we're editing this, there's just been a bunch of updates, and I just want to fill you guys in because I think the full context is super important here for the sake of full transparency of when these episodes are filmed, when the audio podcast goes live, when the video podcast goes live. This audio podcast on the podcast feeds is probably going to go live in like a few hours, like the minute that we're done editing this. However, the video takes a little bit longer, so that's going to be like another 2 days for the video to go live. If there's any updates from when the audio is posted to when the video is posted, we're going to leave that in the pinned comments on YouTube. Just keep a reminder of that. There's been a lot of updates. It felt like for a long time there were no updates, and then all of a sudden they start rolling out, and there's just a lot of discourse we need to cover. So let's get into the distress call. Originally, when we were talking about the distress call, it just came out as, hey, there was a problem with the boat. Judge Ashley Cole even mentioned it in her Facebook post later. There seems to be something with like the bilge pump, the boat's taking in water. Warren does a whole podcast episode on Officer Tatum's YouTube channel about it. And there was clearly some sort of story with the boat being in distress. Like at that point, there were conversations that there was a phone call made to possibly get towed. It was confusing whether or not the boat was actually towed or not. However, the full phone call of the boat calling in a distress call has been released, or at least what I think is the full phone call. So I'm just going to try to be as up to date in the reporting and all of this. We're going to go in full depth onto the phone call and what people think they hear from the phone call. And it was released by WLOX News. This is a local Mississippi Gulf Coast news station, and the published audio recording of the phone call was made to the Sea Tow Dispatch on July 4th. It's made presumably by the teenagers on the boat that had originally brought Nolan to Horn Island earlier that day, but then left, they say, preemptively because the boat was taking on water because of the bilge pump. Before we go over the contents of the phone call, I just want to be clear about the legitimacy of this call because even that has been called into question. WLOX News did report that they got the recording from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources.
Who's WLOX?
It's like a local news station.
Okay.
So this is like I don't know if I would go as far to call them like legacy media, but it's a huge news station, right? And so they said that they got it from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. Now, had someone like TMZ said that they got got it from MDMR. I don't know. Maybe some people would be more or less inclined to believe it. But with WLOX, I will say I am inclined to trust that the MDMR did.
You say people would more inclined to believe if TMZ posted it?
Would be more inclined to question the authenticity of where they got it, right?
Okay.
But I mean, WLOX, if they were just flat out lying about this, the journalistic consequences would be pretty grave. However, I will just note, MDMR has not officially come out and said that they did release this phone call.
So this news station said they got it from this Marine people in that, but okay, so it's directly reported from this news station.
Yes, but there's just a lot of some people are calling into question the authenticity. Some people are, it gets more and more complicated as we go on. But this is just like the first layer. Now, as far as we know, this is an 8-minute, 50-second audio recording. And just to give any clarifications, just in case, I think this definitely is a case where it is panic inducing. So I think, a lot of things, we just get a little bit more emotionally riled up with this case. There are going to be moments of just pure silence in this original, or like as original as we're going to get audio, and that is for the purpose of redactions to protect private numbers like phone numbers. So I didn't see any redacted moments of silence where they shouldn't be. So far from the context, it seems that they all line up with phone numbers. Now, another thing we can confirm about this call is there are no reports from investigators identifying which teen exactly was the caller. The internet has their suspicions that the caller may be a teen named Wyatt, because it seems he's the one, context clues, deduction. He seems to be the one that owns the boat, or his family owns the boat, but it has technically been unconfirmed as of right now. So why is this distress call notable? Well, first, the call was kind of just general confirmation that the teens who were with Nolan that day did seem to have boat issues, at least according to the call. There's suspicions whether or not that is real, though.
If the problem is real or not.
Yeah. Now, there is no official time of when the call was made that has been released to the public, but in short, some teenager on the boat calls Sea-Tow Dispatch. They report the situation. They say that the boat is taking on water. They say that there's about 7 people aboard, and the whole 7 people on board it is weird. Like, the whole phone conversation about it is kind of strange. They provide their coordinates, or their alleged coordinates, as some netizens say, and ultimately, once the teens hang up, the dispatcher calls her captain. Okay, so the dispatcher is probably on land somewhere, and she's taking these calls. Her name is Vicky, and she's, taking calls from a bunch of people, and then she has to call the captain, and if the captain needs to tow someone, it's the captain that goes out.
Oh,
okay.
I see.
And that is recorded as well. So Vicky calls her captain, who is just like her boss, right? And she reports this distress call. And the captain is recorded telling Vicky, the dispatcher, well, I just got off the phone with the grandfather of the teenager that called you.
At the same time.
We
right?
don't know how much time has passed, but I would imagine that Vicky called him immediately.
Yeah, it's
right?
urgent.
Yeah. And he says the grandfather said they have the situation under control and did not need towing. So that's, ultimately, as we know, Sea-Tow confirmed that they never towed the boat.
That's weird.
So the grandfather wasn't at the island.
No.
And so the kids called the grandfather too.
Yes. But that's, okay.
But how is that in the time frame that the boat got fixed?
That's what, okay. That I also think is weird, because I've listened to this audio so many times. I couldn't really put together someone else in the background having a phone conversation with the grandfather.
Yeah.
The caller that called the Sea-Tow Dispatch didn't appear to be having a conversation on a separate phone line. Or maybe he was texting. I really don't know. I don't know. Or maybe somebody else was and we just can't hear it.
Okay.
So it's unclear. Now, the enhanced versions of the audio have started catching fire online. Some netizens are wondering, why, if the teens called a Sea-Tow, why hasn't the audio from the phone call between the captain and the grandfather been released? Mm-hmm. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because people are like, well, it wouldn't be released if it were a private phone conversation. So when you call dispatch, and when dispatch is calling her captain and all of these things, these are automatically recorded. But let's say I, a regular civilian, am calling another civilian who happens to be a captain on the job on his private phone number. It's not going to be recorded automatically, meaning maybe they had a conversation on personal cell phones and not through the dispatch lines, which then brings up questions for netizens of like, how connected are the families of the teens who were with Nolan on Horn Island? Now, merely being well connected does not have any sort of implication of guilt. I will say that. But obviously for a case like this, it's a huge question that netizens want answered. They want it answered in the sense of, did that connection play a role in any sort of investigation into this case? Again, not saying that somebody is guilty just because they're well connected, but they just want to know. People want to know. People want answers. That's it. Like, they just want answers for Nolan's family, and Nolan's family desperately want answers for their process of grieving and for the memory of their son as well. I will say, on the flip side, this could be explained by a simple explanation of all members with CETO have a private line to the captain. Because I know there's lots of memberships where you do get private lines, or like even with like, some people are bringing up like concierge doctors. You get a private line to the doctor. You don't go through like the wait room and the receptionist desk.
Okay.
But again, I guess that would also point to, are they super well connected, which again is not an indication of guilt, but like people are just wondering.
I just don't understand how the boat was sinking.
And then not sinking?
And then it was good.
They said that they did eventually get towed by a third party for a short period. Apparently, they were saying, like, if you're getting towed on the water, water starts coming out of the boat. Whether it's the moving at a certain speed, it forces water out of the boat. But it seems like they were standing kind of still and the boat was taking on water. A nearby boat came, helped tow them a little bit.
How do we know this?
It's in the report later. Yeah, so like that's what they're saying. But then again, with even things like the report, people are saying, well, it's he said, she said. I guess everyone is, there's a lot of skepticism of every aspect of this case. The skepticism is made even more clear when netizens start to isolate and enhance the audio to see if they can decipher the background shouting happening on the caller's side. And what they believe they have deciphered is some netizens believe in the background you can hear the teens shouting, and people believe they hear things that implicate the teenagers.
Yep.
Obviously, as of right now, this is unconfirmed, and unconfirmed just means unconfirmed by authorities, right? And unconfirmed by the parties on the boat. It doesn't really mean anything other than that. These are unconfirmed. These are just netizen speculations. We will go over the enhanced audio and evaluate the legitimacy, but I do want to share, I think if you have not listened to this audio, it would be incredibly valuable to listen without any sort of context. You don't even have to listen to the enhanced version of the audio to isolate the background of this call. You can do it yourself. So that was a huge point of contention. People have been coming out and saying, look, I've isolated the voices. I've taken away the background music. I've done these. I've tried to enhance the audio. Some people are saying, well, if you used AI, of course it could alter things, and AI likes to hallucinate. You can do this by yourself. No AI, no isolation tools, no Final Cut Pro, no editing software. If you go to the audio as is, posted by WLOX News, which I'm going to link in our show notes, they have left it as a dual channel, like 2 channels. So you just need a pair of earbuds. If you have your left earbud in, you can hear the dispatch in the background music. If you have your right earbud in, you just hear the callers. So you just hear the teenagers on the boat.
Okay.
Obviously, if you have both, you hear the full conversation. But if you just keep one earbud in, it's basically isolated. Now, it's not enhanced where you cut away the background noises of like the water and stuff, but I don't necessarily know if you need that because people are hearing things without isolating anything. And again, before I tell you what people think they are hearing, I think you should listen for yourself because there is a lot of conditioning that can happen. And I've dealt with this when we go through like body cam footage, and this is a huge point of conversation online. When you go through body cam footage and you have a transcript you're matching it to, your ears are going to kind of try to make those connect. Even if those are not the words being said. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this is something that happens to humans. Like we like to visually fill in the blanks. We like to audibly fill in the blanks. So right now, if you have not heard anything about this, listen and see what you hear. And for the audio podcast listeners, I'm just going to go through the conversation that's actively taking place between dispatch and the teenager. So this is not me saying, oh, and then in the background, you can hear this. In the background, you can hear this, because I don't want to make that call for you. But I'm going to go through what people think they can hear after I go through the initial conversation between the teenager and the dispatch. And if you're watching the video version of this, you can kind of see and try to figure out if you hear anything in the background before I tell you what people hear in the background, or what a lot of people hear in the background. So I'm just going to go through what's actually being said between the two parties, because even that conversation is kind of weird. So dispatch CTO picks up and she's like, Vicky speaking, how can I help you? This teenage boy is on the other line and he's like, we're at the west tip of Horn and our village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you please come? We have a membership. Yeah, all right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn and our village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Now, I don't know if the teens are like frantically doing something in the background or if the cell service is not good, but they're not really paying attention to the phone call because he's like, what'd you say? Yeah, hey, yes. How far is the water coming up, sir? It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. We're going down there. All right, well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir? I don't know the phone number. It's either redacted. I think it's redacted. Try that. All right. I know we have a membership guaranteed. I don't have the tag on me. All right. You have a membership number or anything? It's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at? Redacted. All right. And is everybody on board in good health otherwise? Yeah. Everybody's... Oh, good. All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard? What? Do you need the United States Coast Guard? No, we don't need that.
All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
Later on, one of the kids that was with Nolan that day on the island, and again, just me pointing out things that I personally think are weird are not me pointing the finger and insinuating guilt. It's just I myself in that situation would not behave in that way is all I'm saying. So he, for example, says that night when he realizes nobody brought Nolan back on any of their boats, it's dark outside. He said that he immediately called the Coast Guard just because he'd rather be safe than sorry. Now, I think this is a different individual than who is on the phone right now, but he did say that he was on the boat back when the village pump was not working. So Warren was on the boat back, but I don't know if he's the one on the call. I don't think he is, right? But I just think it's interesting that you go from, well, you know what? Get the Coast Guard just in case. You'd rather be safe than sorry. You'd always rather be safe than sorry. To all of a sudden, we're sinking, but we don't need the Coast Guard. Because, I mean, wouldn't you rather just be safe than sorry? Now, of course, you could factor in maybe these kids don't want to get in trouble by their parents. Maybe calling the Coast Guard, their parents would take away their boat. I really don't know. There could be other factors, but and again, they're, I guess, 18, 19, who knows how old. I just thought it was weird. Yeah. All right. Do you have your current GPS coordinates? Let me go look. If not, I can send you a text message. Oh, are you ready? Yes, sir, I'm available. North 70 degrees by 4672. All right, 4672, all right. And you're breaking up a little bit. Can you just repeat it one more time to make sure I have it correct? Sorry? Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, what? So you're breaking up. If you need assistance, do you have a VHF radio? No, we do not have VHF. All right, well, let's try to get you going because you don't have good self-reception. Can you verify your coordinates one more time? My coordinates are 30 degrees by 14684 north and then west by 88 degrees by 4679. All right, it looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you on the island? Yes. All right, is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
Right, looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you
Yes,
on
we are
Horn
at Horn
Island?
Island. Yes.
All right, is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
We are sinking, yes.
Is it aground is the question?
No, we're not aground. We are in
Okay.
17 foot of water. We're in 31 foot of water.
So I'm imagining that means like near the shore, on the ground, or like it's hitting the ground. I don't know. All right, I have to ask, and what do you want to do? Do you want to have it towed back? I want to get this boat unsank and towed back, yes. All right, where would you like it towed to, sir? You can tow it to Ocean Springs Harbor or Fort Bayou Lawn. All right, how many adults and children on board? No, there's no children. Is there anybody else on board? How many adults, sir? That was the question. Hello, can you hear me? Kind of jump in and pull the plug while you're going. So now it sounds like he's yelling at somebody else on the boat to pull the plug of the boat or something. Hello, sir? Hello? Yeah, I just need to answer a few questions so I can get you over to the captain. How many adults on board? There's 0 adults on board.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yep, I just need you to answer these questions so I can get you over to the captain.
Okay.
How many
what's
adults
going
on board?
What's up? There are 0 adults on board.
What?
Yeah, so it does seem like most of them are over the age of 18. Again, I don't know exactly who's on this boat right now. It has not been publicly confirmed exactly who and their ages, but I don't know if they just don't categorize themselves as adults, but they also don't categorize themselves as kids. So I don't really know what's going on. Okay, it just doesn't make any sense. I also have a sneaking suspicion that the person on the call sounds slightly intoxicated, but that's just an opinion that I have.
Okay.
Now, there's nobody on board the boat? No, nobody here is over the age of 21.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody
right.
here is over the age of 21.
Oh.
So, like, that's also, yeah, that is really weird to me because I've never,
21.
Some people think it's really weird and evasive. Other people think that this is just a bunch of bozo kids who are trying to get away with underage drinking and driving a boat. But, like, that also doesn't, like, none of that makes sense.
Yeah. If you want to get away, you wouldn't even mention the age.
Yeah.
Then you would just say, okay, there's 7 people on boat. Why? Anyways.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So that was not the question. Is there a person? Now, this is the part where it's weird. Like, I don't know if Vicky was maybe getting frustrated with the phone call or it's just very odd. And of course, in this situation, everyone has been nitpicking this sentence because it's weird. She says, is there a person, a living individual on the boat?
Sir, that was not the question. Is there a person? Is there a person, a living individual on the boat?
Because I guess she's trying to get to the answer of how many individuals are on the boat. But it's also kind of weird. Like the conversation is like when you read a really bad book with bizarre dialogue where they're not even having, like, I just don't know how to pinpoint. Usually I can pinpoint, oh, I think this person was trying to say this or they're getting frustrated. But this one I'm like, all of these answers are so weird. Like, what do you mean no one's over 21? And then she's like, is there anyone alive on the boat? Which is also weird. If I were Vicky, I would just say, how many people? How many persons? 1, 2, 3, like count. You know, instead of, is there people that are alive, living persons on the boat? Is kind of a weird question to ask as well. And again, weird question does not mean anything other than I just thought it was a weird question. He says, hello? Is there a living person, someone breathing on the boat? Is there anybody on the boat? Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat.
Is there a living person, someone breathing on the boat? Is there anybody on the boat?
Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat.
Which is such a weird response because again, if I heard that, I'd be like, what are you talking
intoxicated
about?
as
Everyone's
fuck.
breathing. What is this? What is this question, right?
Yes, there's 7 people on the boat.
Yeah.
Like, they're okay.
Yeah, this whole back and forth, I've listened to it so many times trying to pinpoint, maybe this person said this because of this, but it's just weird. The dispatch says, all right, how many people, sir? Like 7. All right, thank you. Does everyone have life jackets? I will say, just another disclaimer, maybe the self-service is really that bad. So like maybe we're just hearing a very clear version of it, but in real time, they couldn't hear any of it. Anyway, he verifies it's a Triton, a 22-foot Triton that is in offshore sea flight hole that is sinking, taking on water. And she says, okay, I'm going to transfer you to the captain right now. So it does seem instant because she keeps them on hold.
Yeah.
So then she calls captain and the captain is like, this is Captain Seth. And okay, this is another thing that I also picked up, which was really weird. I actually haven't seen this in most cases outside of East Asia. So like in the United States, when you call your captain or you call your boss, yeah, you're probably not going to talk to them like, hey, this is what fucking happened. Like you're probably not going to have that tone. You're going to have a professional tone, but she almost sounds like weirdly apologetic. I just thought it was weird. Okay, she's like, this is Vicky from International. How you doing today? Doing good. How are you? Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. Which I think it's weird to apologize. That's his job. Anyway, you're going to have a fee for service come up under. Okay, it sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. He's letting me know that his father's a member, but he can't give me any information. And he's saying the boat is sinking and he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So he said there's a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18. And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Hi, Captain Seth. This is Vicky from International. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. You're going to have a fee-for-service come up under, it sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island, and he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So
Right.
he said there's about a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
I don't know how that's rude. So
Yeah. Why is she apologizing for doing her job?
The only context I was trying to pick up on is it seems like it was swamped because it was 4th of July and maybe the captain is getting agitated.
Probably
And maybe the
getting a lot of
captain is getting
calls.
agitated by a bunch of drunk people on boats, like causing a stir.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would make
So
sense.
I don't know, but that's not her fault either. But the whole dynamic was just kind of weird. Do you know what kind of boat it is? Now, the captain, I will say, doesn't sound mean, like, or anything. And Vicky doesn't sound weird either. It's just like, I thought the tone was interesting. Do you know what kind of boat it is? He said a Triton 24-footer, but that's all he can give me. Okay, all right, yeah. I actually just got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat. Yeah, he said, I mean, literally, I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, he'll call back.
I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat. Yeah, he said,
Okay.
I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, he'll call me back.
So
That is crazy.
So I'm guessing that they may have figured it out because that's what he said. So they're in a panic and their boat won't crank. Yeah, they're in a panic. He's saying the village's not keeping up. I asked, for Coast Guard. He said no, but he's just really upset on the back end. And I get it. It's a kid. He just doesn't understand. Okay, do you still have him on the line? Yeah, I still have him on the line. And again, he couldn't give me anything regarding his grandfather's membership, so it's just an under fee for service. Okay, all right, yeah, I just talked to, if you want to, I mean, we're so tied up right now, we can't really do any non-member jobs right now. Is he a member? Did you find out if he was a member or not? Yeah, I'm not sure if it's his boat or what. I'm not sure what's going on with it. But yeah, transfer the kid over, I'll talk to him, and then I'll call his grandpa back as well. All right, and did you want me to look up his membership number or anything like that? I know you guys are, swamped. You can try his cell phone number. So he's giving grandpa's number, it seems.
Yeah.
And he's like, did you get anything? And she's like, okay, yeah, hold on. Yes, he's an active member. And what kind of boat do they have on there? So he's trying to match the number with the boat because I guess, if you're a member, but it's not your boat, whatever. She's like, yeah, he's one of the members, 22-foot Triton. All right, I'll just disregard this one. I'm going to send you over an accurate one under this one. And he's one of your members. You'll get in a couple of minutes, okay? So she's probably sending some sort of member file. Okay, perfect. All right. And yeah, just transfer this kid over whenever you get the chance. All right, transferring him now. Thank you again, Captain. And she goes back over to talk to the kids, but it seems like they're not responding. So she's just like, okay, well, they're not responding. She's like, hello, are you there? Hello. And then she says, I will be disconnecting due to lack of response.
Hello? Hello? Are you there? I apologize. I will be disconnecting due to lack of response.
Is there noises on the phone or is it silent?
It doesn't sound like it's an active line. The first layer of suspicion that a lot of netizens feel with this phone call is the layer that we discussed of the actual conversation that's happening between dispatch and the teenagers and the whole grandpa element. So again, people think it's weird that they don't want Coast Guard to come. People think it's weird that the grandpa is on the phone with the captain. Who's the grandpa to the captain? Do they know each other? People just think this whole situation is a little bit bizarre. They need towing. The boat is sinking. They need it unsank and towed, but then all of a sudden they don't need a tow, but we don't know what's changed. So that's the first layer of suspicion. Now, what really sends this call into orbit online is this enhanced audio version that began doing its rounds. These clips were processed and re-released by Janetta Brantley. She is an audio engineer in the entertainment industry who used isolation techniques. She has stated that she did not use any AI. Now, Janetta first posted a clip from the beginning of the call to her social media, and that's where it starts getting viral. One thing that I will note is that even though she does request viewers to listen for themselves, the initial post got a lot of flack from other individuals because she added a transcript of what she believes she heard from the audio alongside the enhanced audio. So some people didn't like that because, there are things like conditioning of your mind. It's called top-down listening effect or transcript priming. Your brain tries to match the unclear audio to the transcript that you are given. Now, normally, I don't know if I would agree with this because I would like to think that we're smarter than that. But then after just watching so many body cam videos and trying to like match transcripts to a bunch of like court live stream footage, I will say it is hard. But I don't know if that's what's happening in this case. But because of that, a lot of people were upset, saying like, Janetta, you should have.
What's up? Afin de Pontarmensch. What the fuck does that mean? I don't speak whatever language that is. Also, hi.
Just release the audio enhanced version instead of telling everyone what you heard, because now people can only hear what you heard. But again, if you haven't listened independently, I highly recommend you doing so now.
Shut the fuck up!
We're about to go over the transcript that Janetta believes she heard in the enhanced audio. And this is background. So this is someone behind the caller on the boat, but not the caller himself saying this, or allegedly saying this. This is what people think that they hear from the audio, is someone in the background of the boat saying something along the lines of, "Can we cover it up? Yeah, I thought all about that. Oh, you killed him. He's already dead. Is he dead? Yeah. Nolan. Oh my God, Nolan, wake up. Wyatt, wake up. Get the fuck up. Damn it, Bart. No-No's really dead now."
Shut the fuck up!
A lot of netizens who are already suspicious of the other teens present with Nolan pretty much believe that this is the smoking gun in this case.
Bro,
They're calling for arrest.
I barely heard anything. Honestly.
Wake up. Get the fuck up. Damn it, Bart. No-No's really dead now.
Shut the fuck up!
Bro, the shut the fuck up is so clear. It's kind of crazy. I feel like at some point I hear like, "Is he dead? Oh my God, he died," or something like that. Wait, can we cover it up? Yeah, I thought all about that. Oh, you killed him. He's already dead. Is he dead? Nolan, oh my God, Nolan, wake up. Wyatt, wake up. Get the fuck up. Damn it, Bart. No, he's really dead now. I want to hear the left and right channel with you, like she was saying. Yeah, it's so weird how unclear it is until the shut the fuck up. But like, I can, even if I didn't read the transcript without trying to understand what was said. But like, it's just weird. It's just weird.
A lot of netizens who are already suspicious of the other teens present with Nolan pretty much believe that this is the smoking gun in this case. They're calling for arrests of the teens, their parents, perhaps even, the Emmy or investigators that are involved in this case.
Yeah,
but there are lots of netizens who are also very suspicious of the actual contents of the call that have been cited. A lot of other people are saying, well, it is weird, but we cannot confirm. So, you have about like 3 groups of people, I would say. I will say a large group of people who believe and can hear this. And I will say, like, when I'm listening to it and I'm reading the transcript, I hear it. It's tricky because I'm like, okay, now I need to factor in top-down priming or whatever.
Yeah.
But then, like, once I hear it, I can't unhear it.
No, but like, even I didn't read the transcript for hearing it. And I feel like I can clearly hear, "Is he dead?" or something about dead. So that's suspicious as fuck.
And then I try to listen to it over and over again. And then I'm like, okay, well, now I'm trying to unhear it. And it gets really weird. And I would say it's just difficult. I think the first time listening to it without any transcript is probably the best. Now, there's a large group of people who hear it and they want the right people to be arrested, identified, and for justice to be served, which a lot of people agree with. If that is actually what's happening in the phone call, yeah, for sure, that needs to happen. Then you have a group in the middle where it's like, I heard it, but I don't know if I heard right.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my ear playing tricks on me. Like, I don't know what's going on. I think that there should be further heavy investigations, but I don't know if that's exactly what I heard. I don't know who's saying it. It could be something else. Like, we don't know. And then you have another group of people who are saying you could basically hear someone plotting JFK's assassination if you really wanted to, because that's how little you can hear. So you've got this very wide range of speculations that are sweeping the internet. And some people have just made it a moment to attack Janetta, which I think is very bizarre. Some people accuse Janetta of lying, of releasing fake audio. I don't see why Janetta would lie, especially if there are any legal consequences.
Didn't she record, like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I saw a video. Basically, like, she knew, you know, even though she's a professional who's been in this industry for a really long time, and she has, like, the credential to back it up and the education to back it up. When you're Black, you're never really educated enough or good enough at your job. You always have to prove yourself, unlike white people who are automatically, of course, always qualified for the job that they have. But I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken again, I saw a video of, like, she recorded, like, her process of how she did it. Because, you know, I feel like she, you know, again, when you're Black, you know that you're never really alone. There's always somebody in your business. So I feel like she probably felt the need to record how she did it so that people could get off her, you know, get off her ass about whether or not she doctored it or used AI or whatever. And I'm pretty sure that, again, from what I've seen, there was other people who are in the similar field who are like, yo, no, like, she did what I would have done in her place. Like, that's exactly how I would have isolated the audio to try and enhance it to understand it better. So definitely do not under any circumstances use fucking AI to do anything, but mostly this kind of shit, because AI be hallucinating, and it doesn't seem like she did, because if she did use AI, this audio would be clear as fuck and we would hear stuff that probably didn't happen. I mean, because I feel like it's still so unclear, and it's, again, so weird how the only clear thing that we can hear is shut the fuck up. Anyway, regardless.
And especially if her career is going to be at stake, I just don't know why she would knowingly lie. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But there are people just using it as a moment to be racist because Janetta is a Black woman. And again, you don't have to go through Janetta's version if you're, you know, like, oh, well, maybe she has skin in the game, right? Like, you can just go through the version that WLOX posted on their YouTube channel and just listen with one earbud in and decipher for yourself. But people have accused her of trying to start some sort of race war. I mean, that's just been like an accusation that's been very loosely thrown out to pretty much everyone that's been outspoken about this case.
If you demand justice for Black people, you want to start a race war. Obama breeding was the start of a race war. Obama being elected, race war. Black people succeeding in anything, race war. Black people are not allowed to get justice or live or breed or work without it being about race. But we're the one making it about race. When our entire existence has always been about race for the people in power, aka the white people. It's very fucking stupid for the perpetrator of the reason why everything is about race to accuse us, the victim of the reason why everything is about race, to make it about race.
When in reality, it just seems like a lot of people want answers. So that's been a whole thing. So after that, Janetta posted a longer cut without a transcript alongside the post. But even that, I think because how she audio enhanced it, lots of people are coming after her. So some people are saying like she's blowing the case wide open and investigators are going to come after her. Other people are saying like, how do we know your process is real and accurate? Now we're just muddying the waters even more. Some netizens believe that the audio itself is damning. They say that you can hear someone say Nolan's freaking dead. Some netizens say that they even hear splashing as if something large is hitting the water. Some netizens say that they can hear the caller say that there's 7 people on the boat and someone appears or sounds like they're counting and it sounds like they're going up to 8, but then it's 7 and, that they accidentally counted Nolan. Netizens claim that the caller's denial of the Coast Guard is very suspicious and suggests that the call was simply a means to record an alibi. Though
That's also what I
netizens say
was
the background
thinking.
noise exposed them for what they were really doing, trying to figure out how to throw Nolan's body overboard. Again, a lot of this is, there are even netizens who say that the boat is sinking and there's too much weight on the boat, so they threw Nolan overboard.
Wow.
There's just a lot of rumors, a lot of speculations, and as of right now, it is conjecture based on what people hear when they listen to the audio clip. These are theories, they're unconfirmed, but a significant amount of netizens have been talking about these theories. Some netizens are even suspicious, saying that they believe they heard a female voice in the background and they sounded older. Some people are saying it sounds like someone is video calling their mom then. Others are saying it could be this person or that person. Others want the dispatcher of this call to be interviewed by authorities, saying she is a witness. Now, I don't know exactly what they mean by the term witness. I do think that she should probably be interviewed. Yeah, I think she is an important element. I don't know if she knew anything beyond just a dispatch call. Some people were accusing her of knowing because she heard these things and was helping to cover it up. There's just a lot of huge accusations being thrown out online. Others want actual forensic audio analysts to review the enhanced and original audio. And some netizens are saying, I just can't make out anything. And that people just want to hear what they want to hear. I think the only undeniable part of this audio being released and the social media conversation around it is I do think that if the roles were reversed and if this was a young white man who drowned and not a young black man on a boat full of young black boys, I don't think there would be as much conversation online of you're just hearing what you want to hear. I think there would be probably a more streamlined online discourse of we need justice rather than like this whole fight about it almost on the internet. That's really the only undeniable thing that has come out of this audio footage as of right now. Now we're going to go back to the other elements of the case that was filmed a few days ago, and at the very end of this audio podcast there's going to be more updates.
Okay, so they drove it back to the other side and they're hanging out over there now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I guess other friends make their way from Horn Island back to where they're hanging out, and everyone's like, wait, where's Nolan? They're like, wait, I thought Nolan was, I guess it seems like the conversation is more so, well, I guess I thought Nolan was coming with you. I thought Nolan was coming with you, right? And so they're freaking out, and Warren says, well, if nobody's seen Nolan and he's not, like, I'm going to call Christine, his mom, and I'm going to call the Coast Guard. So he calls Christine, and he's the friend that seemingly informs Christine that Nolan is missing.
Warren?
Yeah, and he also calls the Coast Guard, which is interesting that he calls the Coast Guard. So Officer Tatum even questions that, and he's like, well, if you knew that he was with a girl, why did you call the Coast Guard? Because what if he's with the girl?
I'm assuming he called the girl, no?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like Katie was texting them after the fact.
Oh, so he didn't contact Katie?
No, because they don't really know Katie.
Oh.
So I think they found Katie like through friends of friends of friends or something. That seems like what it's being insinuated. And again, I have no answers for anything, okay? So Officer Tatum is like, well, why did you call the Coast Guard? And he's like, because I've lost people I know out at Horn Island from drowning. And he's like, I'd rather be the guy that does too much and calls the Coast Guard than not. And it is interesting. So some people think that the way that he talks about boats and fishing, he seems like very well versed in boating. He also emphasizes a lot of, I guess, boating safety quite frequently. So some people believe that's the right call. Like if you're in that life where you're fishing all the time, on a boat all the time, on the water all the time, you call the Coast Guard. You're not taking chances. Other people are saying, it's weird that you called the Coast Guard right away.
It is. That being said, I have to go. I'm already late. Which is why I put in the title that this is only going to be part 1. I'm going to continue this in my next Get Ready With Me stream that will happen maybe tomorrow. I don't want to make promises though, but I might continue this tomorrow. But yeah, riveting. Riveting. I don't have that much hope about justice being served because Black lives don't matter. That country has made it clear for centuries now. But I do hope that at least something come out of it, and yeah, I I want to see justice served, but I guess we shall see. But yeah, this stream is over for now. I might come. I might stream later. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know. I might stream later. Maybe yes, maybe not. But yeah, that was interesting. That was the part one of my Nolan case. What happened on Horn Island? The conflicting stories in the Nolan Wales case. Yeah, yeah, to be continued. So